hospitality toward spurring us all our mundane work. We thought they were happy as we were about being in a lower status than we. Gee, it was just a little cross. You know, just a little prank. Gee, for all we knew, the good boys were simply planning Early for Halloween. Aw, gee, they shouldn't have been so sensitive about good old boy Reese joshing about erasing them with the stroke of a pen. You know he's always going off like that. Couldn't they see he's just a joke? And gee whiz, our way to know they didn't like the initiation in the early darky manner. You know, maximum sentencing and all. They could have been just a tad grateful. Why, we rushed them ahead of our own. Is that not what affirmative action is all about? Oh, gee, Willikers, I guess the times have caught up with us. No more funny games for Mr. Crow. Our dream has come to a crashing end. Everyone's looking and talking about even with our strongest supporters in years in power. We're just going to have to get used to the terms black and African American, let alone sir, madam, Mr., Ms., doctor, or even the dreaded first name. Check, please don't. Okay, your state ID, check. Your driver's license, check. Photo ID, check. Vehicle registration, check. Birth certificate, check. Passport, check. Marriage certificate, check. Doctor verification, check. Power of attorney, check. High school diploma, check. Middle school diploma, check. Elementary school diploma, check. Proof of residential living for the last 20 years, check. Military honorable discharge, check. Proof of mental competency, check. All this stuff just to obtain a gun? Gun? What gun? This is the voter registration line. The gun owner's registration is a fast express lane. Come on with fast tracking processing. No waiting there. Not ever.
Thank you, Garrett Murphy. And now, Matt. Matt is coming up to the front here. Let's give him a nice round. I think, is this your first time here? First time here, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. I like that. Thank you.
Thank you guys for a warm welcome. I just want to say this is beautiful. What everyone is doing here is great. When my friend Ty and I were in Kunming, China, which is like right below the Himalayas, we used to run a slam poetry collective little thing. And we used to slam poetry in a park with a bunch of foreigners. And when we were doing that, there was this old Chinese man who came up to us, and he had no idea what we were doing because his English wasn't very good. But when he came up to us, he looked at us and he said, "What you guys are doing is incredible." And my Chinese was okay, Ty's is better than mine. But he was talking about how during the Cultural Revolution, everyone in that city of Kunming had nothing to look at, nothing to read, no poetry to follow.
That's right.
And when that was going on, he was a published poet before then, right? When that was going on, he stopped his poetry, he stopped everything, because you would be prosecuted for your poetry. So when he saw us at the park, he was like, wow, it is great to see, even if it's not Chinese youngsters like carrying this on, as long as some youngsters are carrying this on, then you know, we're good. So,
Don't worry about that.
so I think I'll just do two poems today. This first one is about my identity. I'm half Chinese. It's called Half Like Me. I live without visual representation in a nation that prides itself into being open to first generations. Complete reiterations of a genome sequence into who I am. I am half Asian. So you're like Filipino, right? Is the question I get asked. And sometimes I nod because the truth takes too much time. My skin is brown, my eyes are Chinese. How can I be American with traits like these? Hapa is how I define myself, but who knows what that means? Unless they themselves look like me, and to tell you the truth, there aren't that many. Outside of San Francisco, I see a vast, bleached desert of people who have never seen ethnic ambiguity. In middle school, I was different because of my eyes, a Chinese kid made to grow up in a neighborhood that was wonder-bred white. And I didn't know what being Asian meant because you need a role model to become enlightened. And I was young and ignorant, but everything told me I was different. My mom was first generation Philippine-born Chinese with no clear Chinese accent because English was her first language, Tagalog was her second, although everybody still assumes that when I speak Chinese, I have some sort of ethnic advantage. In college, it became even harder. explaining to people that I was an Asian studies major. And they're like, what, so you study half of yourself? And I was like, yeah, the half of me that's telling you to go fuck yourself. Because people like their little boxes, being able to define others as certain races. And when I was at high school, the SAT made me check just the one. So I chose multiracial because that's what I was. But I was afraid that that made me sound either half black or Latino, something I was not, a lie I didn't want to buy into. So although I have Keanu Reeves, I lack any idol who really looks like me because it would be too complicated to have a movie that dealt with someone that was half like me. Some people tell me I look exotic. Like it's another way of telling me, yeah, you're kind of a hottie and I'm supposed to be flattered by this comment, but exotic means imported, non-native, tropical, introduced. Like my hometown's whiteness didn't influence me too. Not too long ago, I would have been born a crime, a racial hybrid, tainting perfectly waspy bloodlines, and thankfully I missed that period of time. But some people still think my dad is some kind of fetishist weirdo because he likes Asians and therefore is a pasty white creeper. But what is wrong with just calling it love? Because that is what it was. And I know in the future more people will look like me. I've seen foreigners in Kunming cradling half adorable Chinese babies. And I want to share with the parents everything I've learned. Because being half something means you straddle two worlds. Always the exotic, always the foreign. Home is where the heart is, but the heart is always seen as roaming. Thank you. All right, one more short one. It's called Old Adages. When I grow old, I will realize that life is a slow fade into irrelevancy, vacating former homes and destroying things that define me, finding no faults with old friends and just enjoying their company. But I am not that old yet. When I grow old, I will eat Life brand cereal and discuss fiber with my future wife until we both go hard of hearing, and I'll have 4 grandchildren, but only see them for Christmas because when I was younger, I had a fight with my sons and didn't realize how it affected them. They'll drive out from New Mexico or Colorado or wherever I am not from and stay in our guest bedroom for only a week, and my wife will get stressed and shop at the local Toys R Us for plastic trash to fill landfills when our grandchildren are dead. But I am not that old yet. When I grow old, I will spend time with vintage car magazines. Stuff like Toyota Corollas and Priuses will become my senile memories. I will take walks with my Labradoodle and stoop to pick up its poop as kids dodge me on Marty McFly hoverboards, or whatever it is they will use then. I will read modernist literature and eat sandwiches with a slow thoughtfulness that I never achieved before I lost most of my teeth to root canals. I will walk around malls cradling a book and an ice cream cone and understand it is impossible to look threatening while eating ice cream. But I am not that old yet. When I grow old, I won't be one of those men that resists change. Instead, I will accept it wholeheartedly, except I expect some spare change to do me good. I will love my sons in my own way and treat them as equals, even though they don't see me the same. For them, I am an ancient relic that refused all his life to purchase a smartphone because I felt threatened that a black box the size of a deck of cards is more of an intellectual than me. Fuck you, Siri. But I am not that old yet. When I grow old, my selfishness will slowly diminish. Myself will become love, capital L, and that is how I will live. I will approach all things with kindness because all of my bitterness has been used up in my youth. And my passion will be making candles or scrapbooking or something benign because I used up most of my usefulness too. But I am not that old yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Please come back, don't be a stranger. All right. That brings us to Prosperous, then Ken, and Karen. Prosperous. Get out of here, Lottie. Here he comes. Let's go. Moving on up the ground. That was you. Okay, I was wondering. It was like, come here. All right.
It's okay if I don't use the mic?
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to let. That's fine. Some people do something.
How you doing? My name's actually Ty, but my pen name is Prosperous. Yeah, it's kind of off what Matt was saying. It's incredibly refreshing. I'm actually from New York. I'm coming here to visit, seeing some friends and whatnot. So.
Which part of New York?
I was born Upper West Side.
Okay.
Hey, Prosperous, that mic might slip out. It looks like it's starting to slip. There you go.
You can look at
There
it.
you
It's
go.
going to flip
That's
out.
good.
It's good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Anyways, I was also while in Kunming, we did a couple, open mics like this, but also in Taipei, Ren who's here as well. We also took part in a spoken word community, and it's really nice to be back in the.
So how'd you find this place?
Actually, Ren found it, yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm gonna read a couple. This first one I'm gonna read is actually kind of a tradition when I go to a new open mic spot or whatnot. It's usually the first piece I read. So this is called the Sonnets. Comets of naked sonnets scratch from under my surface, churning my words and making me speak on purpose. The civil service of a poet is to embrace the colliding tensions, to then simply grab the pen and use the weapon of expression, to lessen the fear in our hearts and to remind us we are human and that we are what we love and not this shit we be consuming. Doomed we seem to be, but I'm not here to preach about our society's negativity. Oh, I'm here to make poetry. Spoken from me to you, take the time to feel the shift. Don't be oblivious to the rhymes I spit. Tactics of wacky havoc, cracking through heavy traffic. Scripted manic magic, it'd be tragic if you panic. Can you handle freedom? Freedom of the word. Write for what you believe in and let your soul be heard. I dare you to turn the page, but you'll get lost in my wordy maze. As long as I got your attention, let's extract your courageous ways. Face the blankness with confidence and turn off your mind to write. Let the comets of naked sonnets pour out from your inside. Like hyper vipers, pepper pretending to be positive poison. More of a flavor, a bit tart of a dark sweet, maybe more like poison. Moistening up the creative juices, we take a sip of originality. No other man or woman can sound like the voice that speaks inside of me. Poetry has become to be the reason why I live, to defeat adversity with a pen in my grip. And to tell my own tale with the words that I choose, to be able to breathe life into every word. This I choose not to lose. With the commerce, consumers, the sonnets, the bloopers, the promises, tumors, and money bag rulers, the sonnets, the science, the truth, the foolers, the proof, the youth, the used, the abusers, yo. The sonnets, the greed, the sonnets, the consumers, yo. The sonnets, the greed, the sonnets, the consumers, yo. The sonnets, the greed, the sonnets, the sonnets, the sonnets, the greed, the sonnets, the sonnets, the sonnets, the sonnets, the sonnets, the sonnets, Next one, I don't know what to give you guys. Got a lot of stuff all over the board, but one main reason why I came out here as well is because of your trees. Your redwoods and your green. I'm in the jungle concrete of New York, and I don't get a lot of nature in my life, so it's really refreshing, man. So I have a piece here that's called Poe's Jungle. All right. A dark evergreen tint coats over Poe's mind's eye and slowly brings him closer to the light on the other side. His slight rhymes of nature awake him with breath, knowing he's composed and he knows what he's got left. One step becomes two, as three becomes thousands, and as his lungs are filled with poetry, he feels the realness around him. Canopies of bamboo leaves bend over his presence, resting above his head as their stems be extended. The branches bend endlessly with the tendency to dip as obscure rays of the sun through the ceiling drift. Poe stops and sits still under a giant banyan tree, takes out his pen and touches its bark lightly. Silently, its skin seeps into the soul of his pen, bringing a new color and life till it's filled up to the end. And then Poe digs in deep into the page of his rhyme book, allowing all the plants and vines stare over his shoulder and look. As he struck with each word, the forest began to grow. Palm trees and pines sprouting out of his flow. Mint green would glow neon as roots would reach deep, but then all of a sudden, they wrapped around his feet. As he continued to scribble, the grass grew taller, the tree trunks began to surround, and Poe began to wonder, what if he stopped? Would all this suffice? But he couldn't possibly stop. He loved to write. The ink in his pen steadily decreased with each verse, as the jungle he sits in increased with each word. A curse, most would think, but for Poe, a blessing, to be the heart of the forest, to pump it and press it. Sentence after sentence, his presence consumed by nature's lesson. Poetry is his womb. Cocooned and swallowed, Poe fights to write his last line, with his pen near the end, bleeding it dry. As the last drop splashed on top of his page, a funny sensation poured all over his face. It tasted like honey, was soft as silk, and then he awoke, feeling fulfilled. So sitting still here with a dark evergreen coat and his rhyme book filled up with the poetry he just wrote.
Prosperous, can be prosperous. And you can return. Thank you. We have Ken, then Karen, then Richard, Sandra, all everybody feature. Ken. Give him a nice round. Also a first timer as they say in France, Yahoo!
It's a good thing you're people are coming. You guys think it's over.
Thank you. It's actually Ren.
Ren?
R. Yeah.
Let me look at that. Oh, I don't have my, oh, it is an art. This is Ren, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Ren's art. You were very good to come up here with Paul's name.
Yeah, I just
Part of your host. But I'm glad you corrected me. I really dislike getting names wrong. So if I ever say your name wrong, like I call me Bob, for instance, let me know.
This piece is about young love, just when it first starts. Alright. My mind races, contemplating the situation just complicates it, when really it's basic, not complex. But when I try to be honest and open my mouth, that comes a bomb threat. So I should just shut it, put nothing above it, but I don't mean fuck it. Trying to figure out what love is. Scale its values. So I haven't done this piece live. And I haven't performed in like 2 years. Sorry, I'm gonna try that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. My mind races, contemplating the situation just complicates it when really it's basic, not complex. Try to be honest, open my mouth, that comes a bomb threat. So I should just shut it, put nothing above it, but I don't mean fuck it, still trying to figure out what love is. Scale its values is, yeah. Feel the values to scale its size. Feel the highs of its rise. Alright, I'm gonna skip this one. Sorry about that. The piece it ends. Every mean has an end, though meaning depends on each heartbeat within. Mine bleeds through the pen. That's sort of what I wanted to get at.
Well, I'm always you guys always have your stuff memorized.
Yeah, I should have written that down. Alright, so this one I'm just gonna do. It's called Siddhartha. I always do this when I do a new piece, when I go to a new place. It's about Siddhartha. Alright. I've been cooped up for 40 days, just praying for heaven to come my way, with eyes closed. But then I removed the blindfold, found my mind clothed in weariness among faces held serious, My body felt delirious, but my mind wasn't hearing this. It's wholly consumed, thinking suffering and pain is life, while my whole self is subsisting on a single grain of rice. I tried to man up, stand up, but couldn't. My palms pressed against this earth, tried pushing, but myself felt trapped like coins beneath cushions, and my mind's trapped in my body like words between bookends. But then a man stepped up with a fat bowl. I couldn't mutter thanks though, but I drank slow. I felt the warmth tingling down my throat to my ankles. It gave me the strength to stand slow. I stood and staggered back, feeling the pain in my spine like the impact from a jagged axe. And my limbs cracked, so I'm tense in my battle stance to stave off my senses that were drowning in an avalanche. The pain was my habitat, but then it melted, and I felt it. The void myself's in. And I saw deep in the valley, sinking it seemed a Bodhi tree with autumn leaves turning pink from green, so I walked over, sat down, and just listened to the gust winding, birds and bees, buzz killing. I stayed chilling on the riverbed of my consciousness, unconscious of the five skandhas, 'cause, well, deception is perception, and all forms are devoid of essence. But the essence of all of the void's all forms of expression. I'm still correcting the direction of my feet, but I'm stepping to the heavens when I speak. Peace.
Yeah.
There you go. That's right.
Hello, Max.
Like as a teacher, I would always say, the only mistake is giving up. All right.
Go back.
Yes, please. So we have our Karen and then Richard. So Karen, would you please arise to this occasion?
Arise.
Step forward and hold forward.
Oh yeah.
Or hold fifth.
I came from United Nations meeting. Anybody want to join? Here I got flyers. Also, I wanted to, here, and I also want to mention on the 20th, on Monday, the third Monday of this month, your esteemed host here, Dan Brady, will be featured. Yes, pass those out. Yes, he will be featured at Pat's Cafe on Taylor, and it's the juncture where Taylor hits Chestnut and Columbus crosses, and just before Water Street. I mean, it sounds complicated. It's right in the middle of North Beach, and it's really pretty easy to find. So, come one, come all, to hear your illustrious hosts.
Thank you so much.
Pat.
Yeah,
I may be only having two more of these. This will be, it's a third Monday, and we'll be doing this one, we'll be doing one in May, and that may be it. So, come to Pat's, yes.
Oh, no, it's this one.
Oh, I handed out the wrong one.
Yeah.
No, that's different. That's the United Nations. But the Pat thing, that's different. The Pat thing is most important. That's with Dan.
All right.
So that'll be great. And you can come and read yourself after
Yes,
you
it is
finish.
an open mic is included.
It's not really a mic. It's the whole place. It doesn't have a mic. Like so many people. This doesn't really need a mic for a lot of people here. So.
That's true.
But unless somebody's recording your pearly words of wisdom. Okay, making memories. Memory, chaotic. The freshness of a moment, disappearing blots of time. Frustration on another's face, seeing eyes grow tired, and do not see our aging brows. Lines inside the mirror, ears grow weaker, shutting out the sounds and thoughts, making memories. And I just forgot to say, I wanted to say to our friend over here was talking about the Chinese, I almost thought because you used the hop holiday, that you were from Hawaii, but anyway, my grandson is Japanese Swedish, so he's got, I'm sure he's only, is that gentleman still here?
Yeah.
Okay. He's going to be 12 in January, and I'm sure he has some of those issues too, so I just thought. And then I wanted to say I really enjoyed the little haiku about a haiku, and it was 575, so I thought that was pretty good. writing a haiku about a haiku. I thought anybody write a haiku about a haiku about a haiku. That would be interesting. And come out 17.
A
cubistic haiku. Coming out 17. Okay. Morning detritus. A desk of papers, scribbled notes, my husband's face next to a dusty lamp, the phone cord twisted with computer tentacles, cell phone perched upon the edge, suspended. Venetian blinds allow lined glimpses of the city street in motion. Day begins with email and the news of devastation somewhere. Time for coffee. Now, this is we, and I wrote this a while ago, but it's still pardon me, anybody who's fighting Citizens United will understand this one. We mourn the end of democracy as if we must succumb to the power of the corporation, and yet each corporation is persons, each with a soul, a conscience, each one. Each corporation an entity of entities, a conglomeration of independent souls as democratic as we, with the power of each of our souls as beholden to justice as we, with the power of each one, each soul, each corporation, a soul of souls, a conglomeration of conscience.
Citizen United. It's anonymous people, it's anonymous money, dude.
There are
Anonymous
now
people.
5 amendments that are all vying to, and now they want to have a constitutional convention to get rid of Citizens United. I mean, it's...
Here's the thing about a constitutional convention that I didn't know. If a constitutional convention is convened in regard to one particular issue, other issues may be brought up as well.
Absolutely.
So you can create new ones.
You can, a new Philadelphia, city of love, yes. So, this I wrote, I wasn't going to do this, but anyway, this I wrote some time ago, and my heart just goes out to Haiti all the time, and they had so many issues.
Yeah.
I wrote this one right after the cholera epidemic that we caused. I mean, let's face it, Haiti is just, it just can't get away from all the horrible things that have been happening to it. Cholera in Haiti. They say it spreads like wildfire, burning a people already burned, a nation singing of requiems and rebirth, from revolution and slave rebellion, indemnities to the French, payment for freedom, inalienable rights to hawk for a price, prices on each slave's life to be free, purchasing independence with hundreds of years of payment, for stealing their own bodies from the French, stealing their own slaves themselves to be a free country, paying their way into poverty, so that cholera or floods or earthquakes strangle their very souls, living on the edge of hundreds of years of debt, hundreds of years of ravaged forest land, exploited land and people stolen even of their leaders, their beloved Aristide, exiled, shut out, separated from their grievances, which are his own, muted agonies, delayed justice, slaves again of poverty, where cholera will burn and take its own.
Oh, you want to close?
Yeah, that was
palate
all heavy.
cleanser.
Yes. Yeah, this is a palate cleanser. A little bit of raspberry. My shoes carry me across the street where they will meet your shoes, with laces torn and thinning soles covering your feet that tap a beat that's long and sweet. A travelogue from shoe to shoe and feet to feet, never complete. Repeat, repeat. The dumpster knows an old shoe's woes when finally its mistress throws the thinning soles and ripped up holes away.
Thank you very much. There now is the lightning return. Get that straight eventually. Okay, we're going to have our mini feature right now. Mr. Sandoval comes up for about 8 minutes, and then we have a person who will read something after him, and that'll be the closing. We'll take care of all of these prizes. And just so you know, there we go. just so you know, next week's feature is someone who, the people who know this place well will remember Joel Fallon. And he'll be here next week, so that's a really great voice from the East Bay. And he's a person that never needed the money. Even when we were in an amphitheater, where he didn't need money.
Poet laureate of Benicia.
Poet laureate of Benicia, Demetrius, yes. Emeritus, sorry. All right, you're on, Mr. Mann.
Oh, well, I don't know if anybody knows, I'm sure there are some people know that this is the 100th birthday of Billie Holiday.
I know Billie Holiday, but I didn't know it was her birthday.
Yep.
Well, it was, and,
Well, I have 2 of her albums.
oh, stop it. This
I
is
do.
not an argument.
Yeah, it is a
This is about Billie Holiday.
Okay.
Anyway, so Stephanie, who left, wanted to read this. So she called me and asked me if I would read it because she would cry. And well, I mean, you know, if we know the lyrics, we can understand why. So on behalf of her birthday, I am going to read the lyrics to Strange Fruit.
Oh, nice.
Southern trees bear strange fruit. Blood on the leaves and blood at the root. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scene of the gallant South. The bulging eyes and the twisted mouth. Scent of magnolias, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the world or for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot and for the trees to drop. Here is a strange and bitter crop. Sorry I messed that part of that line up. It deserved a better reading. But, so I'm going to read the piece that I think maybe started this whole thing, the flag.
The flag is a constant background theme that you can address at any time through your open mic presence.
And I met Buffy St. Marie, and she was talking about her protest songs as that they weren't from love. And she's the one who wrote, as you know, Universal Soldier. And I just had to tell her, I said, look, you don't do protest songs unless you're doing it because you do love. So, I think she acknowledged what I was saying. So this is called Under the Flag. This was the flag that flew over the genocide of Aboriginals in places like Sand Creek and at Wounded Knee, where soldiers murdered unarmed men, women, and children and were awarded a Congressional Medal of Honor for doing so. This was the flag that flew over slavery, where strange fruit hung from trees and the slaves' labor helped build the empire. This was the flag that flew over Vietnam, a place like My Lai. Vietnam, a country bombed with napalm, while white phosphorus clusters and poisoned with Agent Orange. A war based on lies, from setting up a phony South Vietnamese government to the Gulf of Tonkin. This was the flag that flew over Cambodia, doing the same as in Vietnam. Massive bombings and the planting of landmines that keep on giving to this day, blowing away lives and limbs. This is the flag that flies over the people it represents, who seem to be confused as to why the world does not love them. This is the flag that flies over a government that is #1 in incarceration, where there are more lives and laws than ever that can land you in jail so you can rot mentally. And #1 in the arms dealers of the world, making sure that we support the forever war. After all, if we don't, who will? This is the flag that flew over Washington, called Columbus, where the overinflated General Douglas MacArthur turned his guns and fired at the veterans protesting for their rights as veterans. This was and is the flag that has flown over countries overthrown by the empire in places like Haiti, Honduras, Iran, Chile, Iraq, to name just a few. This is the flag that flies over a nation that believes in manifest destiny, What is mine, and what is yours is mine. Oh dear, I lost my place. What is mine, and what is yours is mine. The Aboriginals know this to be true. This is the flag that flies over the empire, where the lands, rivers, lakes, and air are poisoned, entering byways into organisms, wreaking havoc and chaos, where the politicians constantly try to pass laws against the destruction of the said flag, while they allow the continued destruction, desecration of the actual thing the flag is supposed to represent. This is the flag that flies over the theft of Aboriginal lands and resources, not just in the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries, but welcome to the new millennium. This is the flag I will not salute, nor are there any that deserve such action. As Harold Pinter so eloquently wrote, all the dead air is alive with the smell of America's God. This